hello. Yeah, we have after that also a QA session, so I will try to go through the slides. More importantly, I'm co-founder and CEO of Ninetales, a personalization solution, personalization tool, API first, but I will not speak anything about our tool, so no pitch about Ninetales. So, first of all, personalization. How many of us really today have received just an email with, hey, your name? Everyone here, no? Is that personalization? I don't think so. But we will see why this is not personalization. This is just a trick. It's a marketing trick. It works, and I think that's the important part. It improves open rates. It improves conversion rate. But a name tag or merge tag is not personalization. Why it's not personalization? And I would like to, first of all, say that personalization is nothing new. We are having personalized experiences or personalization as a solution in the last 20 years, more or less. I started with personalization, have done also A/B testing, and it's always one important part. It has been always part of improving conversion rates, improving the numbers. And there's a lot of different stats. I like this one, 40% more revenue for personalized marketing actions and tactics. However, as I said, there's a lot of stats which prove that personalization or personalized experiences are beneficial for organizations. So first of all, what is personalization? And I would like that you imagine this bar or this restaurant which is in your neighborhood, which is really this kind of very, very nice, small restaurant. And imagine one thing. You're going to that restaurant with your family, with your partner, and when you're at the door, the owner says hello. Just hello, no name. And as you're coming in with your family, what the owner does is he puts you on a big table, very lightful table with a lot of light, and he brings also some crayons for the kid. So it's very, very natural, but it feels good. And imagine you're going to the same restaurant 1-2 weeks later, but just with your partner. What is doing that owner? He's putting you in a smaller desk, in a smaller table in the corner, just with some candles, etc. Again, he's not saying your name because he doesn't know your name, but you're feeling that you're having this kind of experience. And that's it is. Personalization is having a kind of personal experience. It's having like a tailored experience, feeling well. And again, no name. It's really about the experience that we're having. And I am more from a technical perspective. I have a background in product, data, and marketing. So today we're going to explain like, okay, how can we create these experiences? Not which tools, more which is the strategy around the tools. And first of all, MarTech is the keyword. So how can we create personalized experiences with MarTech solutions? And the first thing is, where do we start? And I don't know if any of you have seen this. Anyone knows this? And the interesting part is this is a map, a MarTech map. It's the marketing technology landscape. It started in 2011. By the way, Ninetales is somewhere there. And today there are like 11,038 solutions listed here. And as I said, it started in 2011. And in 2011, there was just 150 providers. The logos were very, very big in the first map. And that means it's like a 7,000 growth in 10 years. That's much more than everything else. And if we look into the tool landscape, what we're seeing is if we look into today's companies, most of the companies are using today SaaS solutions, and the SaaS portfolio and spending, it's the average of SaaS solutions is 291 per company, and the annual spend is 50 million. And this is also interesting from a business perspective, because SaaS spending, it's the largest operating expense after people. And it's getting worse, let's say it so, because every 30 days, usually companies are adding a new SaaS solution. So we have seen a lot of MarTech solutions, a lot of apps, etc. But how or where do we start? And I think that's always the difficult part, especially when you are an organization, is where the heck should I start? There's a lot of solutions, there's a lot of providers, and the reason or the answer is quite easy or quite simple. It's like, start always with your customer. Put the customer always in the center. Don't think about the solutions. Don't think about the tools. Today, in the presentation today, I will not speak about any tool. Yet about concepts. Why? Because the concepts are the way of putting your customer in the center. And based on that customer, define your business cases, define your use cases, and based on that, make a decision about what is the kind of solution you need for improving or personalizing the experience of your customers. And yeah, one thing. It's interesting how everything is moving quite fast in the last couple of years. As I said, I'm a little older. I started when I was a teenager 20 years ago, and I have seen really a lot of different technologies, and I really believe that we are right now in a very interesting part of the technology landscape, and it's because there are three big things which are really colliding or coming together. And the first of all is data. Nothing new. Data. In the past decade, every company has been investing in data. We have now technologies like CDPs, customer data platforms, and data pipeline is one of the key strategies of the company's organizations. And the interesting part is also, if we look into the statistics, is right now, when we look into the last 10 years, what we're seeing is there was an exponential growth of entertainment data, typical Netflix, streaming services, etc. But what we're seeing right now is the productivity data is the one who's like really growing faster. And in productivity data, we have marketing data, of course. And if we look into what is the ideal landscape or ideal tech stack of an enterprise, we see more and more that we have web events, server events, which go into the analytics solutions, into the CDPs, which generates a user profile. These CDPs are also connected with marketing automation, ad platforms, and analytics solutions. On the other hand, what we're seeing is that from a traditional perspective or data perspective, we have the ETL, which sends data also from different tools, advertising data, or even internal databases, to the data warehouse or to a cloud warehouse. And this data cloud is consumed usually by BIs. If you look into this, is a lot of data flows, everything going to different systems, and more importantly, different teams owning it. We have marketing teams owning a lot of data because digital customer data is really driven by marketing, but of course also by product teams. For example, growth product teams could use similar data as marketing teams. More importantly, we have also sales team consuming a lot of data from CRM to other kind of data. And of course, we have also customer success. And the interesting part here is that we have different teams with complete different goals consuming similar data and also consuming data around the customer or the customer data. And that's the biggest issue right now. It's what is happening is that we're generating a lot of silos. Every time companies are having, like, for example, CRM data, which is very powerful in the tool, this tool is not connected with other tools or with other data warehouses, etc. So here the biggest question always is like, okay, as I have data silos, where's my source of truth? Where is the data really relying? And here, a second trend I am seeing, or a second trend the market is seeing, is composability. Composability is a very interesting way, which is, also has appeared in the last 10 years, more or less. And the most important part is that, for example, if we look into like the future, there are studies, for example, saying that in 2026, the 20 top cloud platforms and SaaS providers will have some kind of marketplace. Interesting enough, Ninetelt as a tool is very integrated in other tools like Contentful, Content Stack, and other CMSs, and we are using their marketplaces as a natural way of integrating in the workflow of the users. And composability is really one of these big trends, not only data. And how we are seeing also is interesting that companies like Gartner, they are speaking about composability not only from a product perspective or from a data perspective, they are really speaking about composability as a business concept. I recommend you really to look about all the keynotes or all the documents about business, composable business from Gartner. And we see also that big players like Amazon Web Services are also into the composable trend right now. This is a webinar. There's also a blog post about this. And here we have references to this MACH architecture, which is, without getting into a lot of confusion, it's similar to this. MACH architecture is a new marketing term around composability. We have, of course, headless CMSs like Contentful, or also a story block speaking about composability and the benefits of composability in enterprise and also in other organizations. And the most important part, this is not only driven by providers, this is driven also by organizations. So we have big brands, and this is one interesting part because what we've seen in the last couple of years is that composability is really driven by enterprise. If we look into how it was the new trends or new acceptance of trends a couple of years ago, usually it was like more startups using new technology. In this case, composability is really, really enterprise driven. Because of the benefits it brings them enterprise, but of course also other kind of organizations can benefit of composability. So we have here brands like Puma, Harry Rosen in the US using composable solutions. And what is composability anyhow? And I have to say I like and hate this example about Lego. But if you look about like, this would be like a built solution, you buy the solution, you buy the monolith, and there is everything you need. So usually, for example, in CMSs, you buy the CMS, you have the personalization in it, you have everything in it. And if we look into other strategies, you can build it. And that's where this example of the Lego blocks comes in. You can build from scratch your solutions. And if you decide to go build, you will put it as you need, but it will take time. You have to make a lot of definitions, etc. And that's where it becomes interesting because composability is really a combination where you are buying providers, you're building your own solutions, so you're able to adapt much, much faster. Is it the same, the last as the first? Not, but it's having the same solution for your customers. Said this, nothing is perfect in the world, so you will always have cons and pros, and it's really about deciding of these three solutions, what is the best one for the organization you're working for. And if we look into composable architectures, the main or the most important part really is the API layer. That's where it becomes very, very powerful. Said this, not all APIs are composable, but most APIs enable composability. And the important part here is as soon as you have APIs, you can really bridge the different tools, and more importantly, you can bridge the data and create these unique experiences. And of course, the last trend, which we are seeing in the last year getting a lot of attention, AI. And yeah, it has to be a presentation with AI as a buzzword here. And if we look into data, last 10 years, data has become like the core of most organizations. Composability is getting a very, very also fast trend into being the core of organizations. And in AI, if we look into the adoption, it's one of the fastest adopted technologies right now. And this is an interesting part if we're looking into personalization per se, because personalization is very connected with content. And this is a study which was published, I think it was 6 months ago or 8 months ago by Sequoia Capital. And what they explain is like really like how everything is evolving from an AI perspective. And if we look right now, 2020 was basic copywriting, first drafts, and it's getting in the text perspective every time better. And this is where it becomes really interesting, because if we look into like what will be in the next 5 to 10 years, we really have like this content generated which will be more or less professional or more or less perfect. If we look into the code, similar evolution like text and images is also something which is right now starting, because before in the previous years we didn't have really this first attempts, and but we're getting there also with images. And the interesting part of this really is that even 4 different parts or 4 categories so different, they will be in 2030 more or less ready for prime time. And if we look at this from a content perspective, first of all, what does Gen AI mean for personalization? It means that AI can generate content. And more importantly, content is easier to generate, it's faster to generate, it's cheaper or affordable to create, and much more people in an organization can create content. Important to say also, we are in the first steps of using generated AI content in organizations. There's a lot of discussions about legal, even for example, how to say, like advanced AI tools are not so accepted right now by organizations, but again, it's the first steps. And in the next 5 to 10 years, what we are seeing is like there will be such an amount of content that where should we start? And that's where it also becomes interesting from a personalization perspective, because the quality of the content will be more or less the same as you have human generated. And here becomes interesting for personalization. All this content can be generated on context. And that's what we call infinite content. And from a more technical perspective, how can you manage all this infinite content? And there are like three layers. And for the different layers, you can use different tools. But more importantly, they have to connect as composable solutions. And you have the delivery layer, you have the content layer, and you have the data layer. Why? Because delivery is at the end the layer who is giving the experience to the end user. Content, it's what is delivered to the user. It can be images, it can be video, it can be text. And data, it's where you have the customer data to really have better experiences. And if we look into the delivery, this is an interesting part, because to deliver this contextual personalizations, you really need very fast tools. If we look into the last 10 years, all the personalization solutions, usually they had, it took like 500 milliseconds to 2 seconds to deliver the personalization. In a world like ours, also with the feature of contextual personalization, this is not enough. So really you need a delivery layer which can deliver in less than 50 milliseconds, in less than 20 milliseconds the experiences. So it has to be instantaneously. And this means that the APIs have to respond in this millisecond part. And the interesting part is like for always, there is some technology behind this, and what we're seeing in the last couple of years is that, for example, we have much more advanced frameworks like Next and others, and more importantly, we have edge computing like providers like Vercel, Netlify, or Cloudflare. And the second layer, content. And here is also why in the last years there's a new part of, how to say, like a new trend getting also together, and it's like structured content. And if we look into structured content, everyone knows like, okay, CMSs, etc., they are enabling really now to create this structured content. Why is structured content so critical? Because if you have structured content, you can deliver personalized content based on the context very easily. And the last layer, data, and what the market is seeing is that in the last couple of years also third-party data is disappearing and focuses on first-party data. And if we look into different kind of data, and this is what it really becomes interesting for personalization cases as well, is you have explicit data. Explicit data is the data usually users give. So it's shared by the consumer. So it could be, for example, the person's name, the address, the birth date, the email, phone number, etc. The interesting part here is that this data doesn't change very often. So it's kind static data, and more importantly, you can create segments from this. So you can create, for example, segments based on demographic and age groups, etc. And the second group of data is implicit data, and this is data that can be inferred or deduced from different sources of data. The typical data here is interactive data, so for example behavior data, which you have also transactional data, and again you can create segments from this data. And as an example, you could, for example, create from the transactional data high spenders data, or even from the behavioral data in an e-commerce perspective as well, you can create cart abandoners segments. And last but not least, and this is where it becomes also very important for this contextual data of contextual personalization, is ambient data. This is really context data. This is data which changes or can change in every interaction. And the typical examples are location, so where the user is accessing right now the experience. And based on that, you could also infer other data, like, for example, weather data, etc. And just a couple of examples of how personalization can be used in experiences, or how you can create personalized experiences. So you could, for example, personalize based on the campaign. This is an example of somebody who is getting or is coming from a specific campaign, and there you can, for example, change the headlines, add some specific CTAs based on that campaign, and most importantly, there is a lot of studies, but I have to say we see it always with our customers that these kind of experiences generate really a lot of uplift in the conversion rate. Another example is demographic personalization. So you can use, for example, if you know the user, the name of the user. This, by the way, this works very well in the US, does not work in Europe. Really adding, for example, first names in landing pages, etc. And you can use, of course, location personalization. So typical, the user comes from a specific city, let's say Berlin, and based on the location is shown, and the specific products for that user or for that location are shown. And this one is really interesting because we have spoken a lot about like transactional e-commerce personalization. That's usually the first thing which comes in, pops up. But you can also do personalization for B2B, or at the end you can personalize any experience. And this is also really interesting. It's using IP intelligence, so understanding from which company the user is coming, and based on that, change the landing pages based, for example, in the vertical of the company that person is working. And based on the behavior. This is a typical example. We have seen so much of last seen products, last bought products, recommendations also from, for example, products which have been bought by other users, etc. And yeah, thank you. So for the Q&A, any questions?
Thank you very much, Andy. So any volunteers? Someone want to ask something?
Thank you, Andy. You said that third-party data is disappearing and there's more first-party data. Yeah. But I would think with the sort of availability of APIs and like open data, that there would be more third-party information and combined with first-party data. Is that not the case?
That's a really good question. And at the end, there's a small, very, very small difference between first-party data and third-party data. Usually when it's first-party data, can be also like combined from different systems in an organization, from different tools, but it's still first-party data because it's generated in the organization. And it's not bought by third-party data. I think why the market is really going into first-party data, and that's why so many organizations are really investing right now in handling this first-party data, is because what has happened in the last 20 years is all these cookies, etc., like pixels, have been the way of getting third-party data. There's another concept which is second-party data, which is kind of a mix where you buy data from others and integrate it in your system, but it's still first-party data or second-party data. It's not third-party data generated through different organizations. So at the end, I think the most important part here really is to understand that data is a very, very important part of how you have to create really personalized experiences. Because in the past, there was no way of really integrating this kind of data in the personalized experiences, or at least not for any company, only for the big ones like an Amazon, etc.
Okay, someone wants to ask something? If not, let me check the slide now. Okay, I have one question. What do you think? Is AI going to fully replace human in the personalization process in the future?
Sorry, could you repeat the last part?
Is AI going to fully replace human in the personalization process in the future?
This is a really, really good question. And to be very honest, that's something we are also discussing a lot with our customers. And at the end, there will be more and more automation. So there will be more kind of replacement. But to be very honest, it's like it's not replacing people. What it will replace is processes. And at the end, it's at the same time, it's also important to have a control to understand what is working, what is not working. Nobody likes black boxes. So at the end, the systems, especially because of composability, they will be open. So you can have some kind of information about like what is working, what is not working, and more importantly, on scale, having it all automated, and then based on the insights, tweak everything. So will it replace? I don't think so. It will make people life easier because you don't have to think. And I have to say, we at Ninetale we have been using generated AI content for SEO since 2.5 years. And what it has done is we are more effective, but we're not replacing people in the company. We're really generating more content, faster, and the most important part, and that's one important part when you're generating experiences, it's always about iterations. It's always about learning. It's always about like step, step, step. And if you have tools which make it fast to iterate, you will get better. And that's where it becomes. It will not replace, it will accelerate.